Alrighty, greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Andrew Kirchhoff, and welcome to our Thursday night live stream for Week 12 of the 2024 fantasy football season. What a game, huh? The weather, the game started out, I'm thinking, all right, well, you know what? It's not as advertised. I heard that it's going to rain, it's going to snow. This is going to be one of the worst weather games that we've seen in a while. The first half, no problems. We get into the second half, and I can't even see on my television screen, much less how they're able to see in that game and deliver such a great overall performance. So, for the next hour plus, we're talking all things fantasy football besides tonight's game between the Steelers and Cleveland Browns, which of course the Cleveland Browns upset the Steelers. I told you guys yesterday, specifically in that video and in the live stream, that now makes it that the Steelers are 0-8 against division rivals on a Thursday night matchup away. They have not been able to figure it out. But hey, either way, we'll continue on. We prepare for this upcoming weekend's games. If you guys have any questions, whether you send it in via live chat or super chat, make sure you include your scoring format, standard, full PPR, half PPR, all-encompassing context is appreciated. Outside of that, let's get into answering some questions, shall we? Colby begins the first question. Says, trade Hunt for Mooney, Amari, or Bucky. So, Colby, you sent that in before the music began, and as soon as I saw the question, I was immediately excited for the potential of making a trade of this caliber. If someone in your league potentially has Pacheco and they want to go ahead and get Kareem Hunt from you, absolutely make that trade. The order of priority, which I would want the players that they are offering in exchange, I want Bucky first, Mooney second, and Amari third. Of course, Bucky, if you're able to get him in exchange for a Kareem Hunt as of right now, you should do so, absolutely. Onage, what's up? Welcome back, Onage. After 3 consecutive days of power outages, appreciate you continuing to tune in. I appreciate all of you guys, of course, continuing to tune in, but Onage has kept me up to date in terms of his overall cyclone power outages or whatever the heck is going on over there. What's up, Tip of the Horn? How's it going? Zach Robertson says, love Warren and Judy. Yeah, listen, Warren was a surprise. Look, I would have thought that Najee Harris would have gotten more utilization. Only 16 carries. It wasn't what I thought he would get, especially within that game, especially considering it's not a terrible matchup. But nonetheless, it was the Jaylen Warren show by the end of the day. And we'll take it. For those of it, like in my home league, I started Jaylen Warren because I have Bijan Robinson on a bye week. I also have no other running backs within that team because of the injuries that have, stacked up. So, hey, I played Jaylen Warren and it paid off. So for those of you who played a guy like Jerry Jeudy or, oh man, David Njoku dropping that touchdown, that one is going to burn for, for a couple days here. Mustafa says Jerry Jeudy stock up. Yeah, it just seems like he is the number one of the offense going forward. It's going to be him and David Njoku being the primary benefactors, of course, especially in these upcoming matchups that won't be heavy snow situations. Colby in the chat says, the Pacheco manager is desperate this week. Yeah, Colby, absolutely. Listen, if you can get Bucky or Mooney from him, Bucky being the preferred, make sure to do so. Brian Colorado says, what's up, notification gang? That's right. That's why I tell you guys click the bell notification button, just in case, if you're not aware that I live stream every single day, maybe it'll go ahead and surprise you one of these times. Prodigal Son in the chat says, do you think Taysom Hill is a good flex spot? For future weeks, perhaps, yeah. Again, if they have, if we're going to be in a situation where Taysom Hill is going to continue to get utilization at the level at which he did. He's coming off a week that besides the rushing utilization, he had 10 targets. Okay, that is the most important factor of it. So yes, going forward, absolutely is going to be a solid option for fantasy purposes, especially in the absence of, the primary 2 wide receivers of that offense, Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. Let's see here, Sean with a J. He says, Steelers playing down to their opponent again. Yep, that's not really a surprise, is it? Matt says, if you started Chubb, yeah, listen, if anybody who started Chubb definitely benefited from the fact that we had on the first drive that, he scored, David Njoku tackled down at the 1, and in this most recent one, of course, interesting turn of events there. He pretty much got himself down to the 1-yard line in that second touchdown, but nonetheless, I would have expected them to still throw it on that second down. Let's see here. Okay, let's scroll down here. We had a super chat sent in from Jennifer. Jennifer, thank you. It says PPR, Ikine or Trey Benson. Between the two of them, I would rather play Nick Westbrook, Ikine. And then as for your second question, Schultz or Schoonmaker, as it currently stands, I have Schoonmaker ranked higher. Earlier today, everybody, I did drop my quarterback and tight end rankings for the week in regards to week 12, half PPR, 4-point per passing touchdown. If you haven't checked it out, Schoonmaker is on the list, and he is ahead of Schultz in that circumstance. So that's what I'm very comfortable with rolling with. Now, again, Jennifer, it's 100% contingent that Ferguson does not play this week, mainly because he got a concussion on Monday. I would assume that he is not going to participate. He has not participated in practice at all this week. Therefore, he'll probably be out. Let's see here. Caesar in the chat says, I had Warren starting, good start. Had Boswell too. Thankfully, at least 2 field goals in the snow. I mean, he should have had that first one. I don't know how that one sailed on him, especially when the weather wasn't also bad in the early beginning of that game. But it is what it is. We'll take what we can get. Big Al says, hey Andrew, this is my first season watching. Love the videos. Also, would you start Jawan or Metcalf or Sutton or Pacheco? Okay, I think it's very much so dependent on your scoring format. Again, guys, if you guys are going to send in a question in the live chat and or super chat, make sure you include your scoring format. So in your circumstance, Big Al, like if Pacheco gets a full practice by tomorrow and they say he's playing on Sunday, then I probably play him in a half PPR or standard. But if it's a full PPR scoring format, out of all those available options, I'm probably just rolling with Sutton at that point, and or Jawan Jennings. Either of the two. Just depends on what the weather looks like in Green Bay. It's not expected to be as It's not going to be as brutal as today, but it won't be as pretty as, like an indoor stadium, specifically in Las Vegas. I believe Denver's playing in Las Vegas. Let me confirm this. So this week, what is Denver? Yeah, Denver's in Las Vegas, indoor stadium. You don't have to worry about that. All right, let's see here. Joel Garza says, drop Hunt, question mark. Nobody wants him in my league. Who do I? No, as of right now, you keep him because there's a chance that he plays this week. The last 2 days of practice, Isaiah Pacheco has been limited. So if there's a possibility in which he plays this week and he's going to be the primary starter if they designate Pacheco to be out, then at that point you can start him as a top 15 option at running back, considering they play against Carolina. So no, you're not dropping him as of yet. Let's see here. Daniel Cap says, thank you, Cleveland, for winning one step closer to my boy. Yeah, listen. Yeah, we'll see. Crazy says, trade CeeDee Lamb plus Connor for Baker and Drake London. I have JD5. Again, I don't think I'm trading that in order to get a quarterback. I think JD5 will suffice for the remainder of the season. I don't think you need to make a trade of that caliber. Now, if you're telling me you play in a 6-team league, then sure, but otherwise, no. If it's like a 10 or 12-team league, I'd have a hard time making that move. Raghav sends in a question. Says, part 1, 10-team, 6-5 PPR, top 4 make the playoffs, currently in 5th. I have Love, Achane, Jacobs, Connor, Tracy, Benson, Jamar. I have Debo, Kupp, Myers, Kittle, Ingram. Sent an offer of Kupp and Connor for Jefferson. Don't like that at all. I do not like that at all. You need to keep Kupp and Connor. It's not even remotely close. They're trying to scam you. Thank you. We had a question from Aiden Doran. Thank you, Aiden. Appreciate it. Aiden says, Bijan, Debo, Reed, 4, Hall, Lamb, and Higgins. Okay. Week 16 and 17. Understood. There's a lot of time between now and then. I don't even know who's going to be playing quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys by the time we get to that position. Conventional wisdom says you take the Lamb side. But as of right now, I think it's a very difficult trade to 100. Yeah, as of right now, I'd probably just take the Lamb side. That's the direction I'm leaning towards. Aiden, thank you. Donald Smith says, Kyler Murray or Justin Herbert? I have Justin Herbert ranked higher in today's video. Down here. It's live on the channel right now if you want more context as to why. 26 Band says 18 PPR. Flex question. Aaron Jones, Debo Samuel, Flowers, or Chuba Hubbard? In a full PPR, I think the safe choice is probably Aaron Jones, but if it's me, I'm probably playing Zay Flowers there. Yeah, if it was my team, I'll just roll with Flowers in the flex. Sammy Munoz sends in a question. Thank you, Sammy. I appreciate it. Sammy says, should I drop one, Hawkinson or Andrews for McBride? Yes, I would drop either. Honestly, I drop both in order to ensure that I get McBride for the rest of the season. But if I had to choose one to suggest to you as to who you're dropping, I would drop Andrews and I'd pick up McBride. If it's a full PPR, if it's a half PPR, it'd be the other way around. I'd be dropping Hawkinson and keeping Andrews and picking up McBride. Thank you. Let's see here. Someone said sell high on Chubb. I don't think anybody's even in... I don't think anybody's trying to buy Chubb, even after that game. Anybody who started Chubb today is surprised with that performance. I think we all are, based on, his inefficiency within the running game over the course of this season thus far. Good luck sends it a question. Says, what's up, bro? Questions in the chat. Appreciate it. No problem. Good luck. Let me see if I can find your question. Hopefully it was up there. Good luck. Okay. It says full PPR. I need one quarterback, one wide receiver, one tight end, and one flex. My options are Jared Goff, Bo Nix, Waddle, Quentin Johnston, Keenan Allen, Christian Watson, Pop Douglas, Kate Otten, TJ Hawkinson. Thanks, bro. Okay, so of the available options you have, Bo Nix is the quarterback that I'm going to suggest. The wide receiver I'm going to suggest is Quentin Johnston. The tight end I'm going to suggest is Kate Otten. And the flex play out of those available... Yeah, as of right now, Let me check my full PPR rankings. It's either Hawkinson or it's Pop Douglas. Let me see where I have them ranked according to one another in a full PPR, and then I will tell you right now. Douglas. So as of right, and then where's Hawkinson? Hawkinson's a little bit ahead of him. So yeah, that's the direction I'd probably go in. I think the safer play is probably Douglas, but I do believe that Hawkinson will get back on track this week. So my primary suggestion to you, good luck, is Nix, Quinn Johnston, Cade Otton, and TJ Hawkinson. If you don't like the play of Hawkinson in the flex, then the only alternative option that I would probably suggest here is Pop Douglas. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, let's see here. We took care of that. Aiden had said, I'm in first place, currently a week 15 bye. Okay, understood. Yeah. No, I mean, I understood that as soon as you said week 16 and 17. Yeah, I'll take the Higgins side of that overall conversation. All right, let's see here. We scroll down. We had a question that was sent in from Mean to Bush. Thank you very much. Says JK or JSN in a full PPR. Also, okay, so in a full PPR scoring format between those two options, I'm playing Jackson Smith and Jigba. Now, as for your next question, also drop estimate for Taysom Hill. Yes, absolutely. Moving on to a question from Eric Nixon, who says, full PPR, flex Dowdle or Disley? I'd rather flex Disley in a full PPR. Next question, KC or the Vikings? As for which defense I'd prefer to play this week, it is the Vikings. Thank you. Frosty says, God, I respected the commitment, but hate you. Oh, okay. Yeah. The Caps. Yeah. Daniel Caps is always going to keep, he's got to keep he's got to live up to the name. I think that's really what it is. And I appreciate that. Let's see here. Rebels in the chat says Terry McLaurin, Juwan Jennings, or Mike Evans in a full PPR. I prefer to play Mike Evans there. Terry McLaurin second, Juwan Jennings third, as of right now. If the weather is an issue for any of those games, we can adjust by the time we get to Sunday morning, but we'll have to keep that monitored as we progress. Scram095 says, hey, Andrew. Do you think vegans eat animal crackers? I would assume that they should, because that would be funny. But if not, then they're bad sports. Let's see here. We had a question in the live chat from Marcus, who says, hey, Andrew, I'm 7-4.5 PPR 14-team league. Just traded McLaurin and Warren for Marvin Harrison Jr. My rest of my team consists of Hurts, Achane, Kyron, Hopkins, Tyreek, and McBride. Okay, well, I don't love the idea of shipping off McLaurin per se. I could see as to why you may have done so because of the favorable potential upcoming schedule for Marvin Harrison and the Arizona Cardinals. But in terms of like the fantasy playoff stretch, New Orleans is a pretty solid game. I can understand if in week 16 against Philly, McLaurin could disappear again, but against Atlanta, week 17, I don't mind him either. So 2 of those 3 weeks, I like him. In terms of the potential of Arizona, New England, Carolina, Los Angeles Rams, I don't mind that either. It's just a matter of I probably would just slightly prefer McLaurin because at least he has been more consistent over the course of the season in comparison to the alternative. But hey, looking forward, let's just hope for the best and let's hope that Marvin Harrison pulls through there, Marcus. Frosty in the chat says, my opponent this week started both Chubb and Judy. Oh man, you're cooked, huh? He's one of my best friends, so of course I called him and cussed him out. Yeah, listen, you have to. That's just that's the the unspoken rule, brother. Yala sends a question in the chat, says, good afternoon, 1 p.m. in China. Juwan Jennings, Quentin Johnston, Jameson Williams, pick 2 this week. Love the show. All right, so between those available options, I would play Quentin Johnston and Juwan Jennings. If there's a weather concern in which there's a heavy rain game or something of whatever we saw today that, transpires this upcoming weekend, then at that point we can adjust. But as of right now, those are the 2 that I prefer. All right, Peyton Whitaker sends in a question in the chat. Thank you, Peyton. What's up, man? So with the snow, what do you think of Wilson for week 14? I mean, Wilson, even in the snow, was crazy, huh? That was very interesting. In terms of week 14, let's see here. NFL week 14. Pittsburgh takes on Cleveland. Yeah, I mean, look, considering if you can handle a solid performance in that weather condition, I'd assume that you can handle, and at least figure it out in any circumstance. Coming off of a solid game of 270 passing yards, pretty good passing completion percentage. Again, Cleveland's secondary is a top 8 matchup at the quarterback and wide receiver position. So I don't mind him for week 14. I think that's a pretty good precursor as to what we could potentially expect to see later on this season in Pittsburgh. All right, 99 says, what games might be affected by severe weather? So looking at the weather report going into this weekend, based on what it is said, so there's a potential chance for rain in the Bears game. There's a potential chance of rain in Washington. There's a potential chance of rain in Green Bay. And there's a potential chance of rain in Seattle. So those 4 games can be affected. The rest of the games are either clear weather or in a stadium, so there's no concern. But those are the only games that could be affected. The two that are most likely going to be affected, Green Bay and versus the 49ers and Seattle versus Arizona on Sunday afternoon, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Those are the two that are most likely going to be affected by rain conditions, which obviously we'll have to keep an eye on. Considering they play in the afternoon, it makes it very difficult to pivot. So if you decide to play them, you're going with them all out. All right, let's see here. Constantino says I'm vegan, except okay, dude. Good one. Reminds me of the Scott Pilgrim. Like, what? Gelato's not vegan? Chicken Parmesan's not vegan? All right, anyway, Stuart in the chat says, greetings and salutations, Andrew. You helped me win last week. Flex Ladd or Juwan Jennings in the. Okay, so as of right now, the Ladd versus Juwan Jennings decision is going to be one, and it says Purdy is looking possibly out. No, he's not going to be out. They said earlier today, Stuart, that he's 100% going to play. So I don't know where you got that report from, but you're a little bit out of date in regards to that. Depending on what the weather looks like in Green Bay on Sunday afternoon, I would suggest that you keep an eye on it. If the weather looks terrible, then at that point you're pivoting to playing Ladd on Monday Night Football. Otherwise, you play Juwan Jennings. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Peyton Whitaker also says happy birthday. Thanks, Peyton, man. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Baba Booey sends in a question via Super Chat. Says, I asked you the other day to start Warren or Dobbs in a PPR. You said Warren. Thank you. Consider yourself lucky, brother. I didn't expect that kind of a game from Warren. Look, the baseline of Warren typically is, like I mentioned on Tuesday's running back video, at a half PPR, we're either getting 7 points or 9 points. The fact that we were capable of accomplishing, let's see here, let me go to my fantasy team on Yahoo. The fact that we were capable of getting 13.9 and a half PPR, 14 plus in a full, fantastic. Couldn't ask for anything more. So, you can thank me, but I think I just got lucky with the overall circumstance that he ends up finding the end zone there. Otherwise, if he doesn't find the end zone, what is he? He's 7 points. That's exactly what we expected him to be. Anyway, continuing on, I appreciate the shout out, Baba Booey. Justin sends in a question. Justin says, "What do you think about this trade?" Okay. What does it say? It says, "I've away neighbors for." Okay, so basically you're okay. Got it. So the no vegan powers, yeah, exactly, Frosty, exactly. So in this overall circumstance, Justin, if you trade away neighbors in order to get Chase Brown in exchange, my only curiosity is what is your wide receivers? If you have ample wide receivers to be able to sustain a trade like this, I'd say absolutely yes. Give me Chase Brown for the remainder of the season. I think he's played incredibly well, and it looks like he has taken over all 3 downs of this backfield, and there's nobody getting a touch besides him. So yeah, I'd be comfortable with the overall circumstance of making that trade. Logan Dubs sends in a question. Says, half PPR, I need 2 flex. I have Dowdle, Pearsall, Demarcus Robinson, Ikine available. Okay. So of those available in a half PPR, if we need 2 of those potential options for a flex, my immediate suggestion is Rico Dowdle alongside of Westbrook Ikine. Those would be the 2 that I would play this week. Let's see here. Then your next question is waivers are New England wide receiver, Pierce, Coker, White, Zamir White. Okay, forward range. Okay, understood. So if we're in a situation in which somehow, some way, Zamir White is like, actually, no, I wouldn't even trust that. I think I just keep Dowdle for sure. And then as for Ikine or Alec Pierce, I think that's really just the toss-up. Right now, let me see who I have ranked higher in a half PPR as it currently stands. As of right now, I have Alec Pierce as my number 41. I have Ikine as my number 43. They're both tier 10 wide receivers. Honestly, if I'm you, I don't mind keeping Ikine, especially the matchup overall. But I do have Alec Pierce 2 spots ahead of him. Thomas Dabney sends in a question. Thank you, Thomas. Appreciate it. All right, Thomas, where's your question? Says Herbert, Achane, Mixon, Kupp, Neighbors, Hawkinson, Jacobs, and Ladd McConkey in the flex. Okay. Fairbairn and Denver defense. Marvin Harrison and Pacheco on the bench. Do I swap anybody? Okay, looking at the team as a whole. Herbert, Achane, Mixon, Kupp, Neighbors, Hawkinson, Jacob. No, you don't change anything. You are good to go. Even if we get 100% confirmation that Pacheco's playing, I'm still not playing him or Marvin Harrison over the alternatives that are significantly better options for you this week, Thomas. In the chat, Peter says, FYI, Purdy's status for Sunday needs to be monitored. He may be doubtful due to shoulder soreness. Didn't I see a report earlier today that literally said that he's good to go? Am I crazy? Did I lose it? Let's see here. Let's go find the report that I read earlier today, shall we? Let's scroll all the way down here. Let's go Control F. Let's look up the name Purdy. Here we go. Where is the report? Can I find it? Can I find it? Please and thank you. Did I find it on Twitter or did I find it on NBC Sports? Maybe it's NBC Sports. Let me go there real quick. Here we go. Kyle Shanahan, no, it was non-committal. Okay. Yeah, but as of right now, that's not even the report that I saw. Which one? Where is that from? What time did that come out? 4 hours ago? Okay, that one makes more sense. I didn't see that one. Non-committal? Okay. So yeah, we'll keep that monitored. But yeah, the report that I specifically saw earlier today on Twitter that was at least at around, I want to say 2 p.m. because that's when I was completing my rankings for Patreon. I specifically saw a report that had something to do with Brock Purdy expected to play on Sunday. So that's what I read, and that's what I ran with. So again, we'll keep an eye on it. But again, there's no way on Sunday we're not getting Brock Purdy out there. If somehow, some way, the legend himself, Josh Dobbs, is going to be playing quarterback for the 49ers, I think that in itself, could justify a start. But anyway, Edward Spray in the chat says, pick a flex, Laporta, Benson. Okay, between the two of them, I'd rather play Laporta. Thank you. Then moving on to the next question. And for wide receiver 2, Jalen McMillan, Wan'Dale Robinson, or Jordan Addison. Between those three options, it'd be Jordan Addison 1, Wan'Dale Robinson 2, Jalen McMillan 3, in that order. That's the way that I would suggest it within your Bipocalypse, Edward. Thank you. We move on to a question that comes in from, where is the question? The S-Box. Thank you very much. S-Box says, in a full PPR, I'm 6-5. Goff/Love, Barkley/Aaron Jones. Okay, we have Eckler, you have Benson, you have Devontae Smith, Kupp, Dobbs, Jennings, Kelsey, Disley, Sly, and the Chiefs defense. Last week, you floated trading for Connor, yeah, which I would suggest still doing. Should I still do that? Yeah, I would. I mean, if I was in your position, I still would be very much so interested in accomplishing that. As to what they'll need in return, if Aaron Jones will suffice, then yeah, let's make that move. If Aaron Jones and Eckler have to be the combo, I'd even still be willing to make that move because in the long run, I think it will be very beneficial for your team in this circumstance, especially considering you have pretty good wide receivers across the board that in a full PPR you can trust. Thank you. Corey Miller sends in a question, says, questions in the chat. All right, let's see. Corey says, pick 2 of the 3, please, in a must-win for my bye week for the playoffs. Understood. Okay, so pick 3 in a must-win for a bye week in the playoffs with Drake and Chase on bye, McMillan, Watson, Abdullah, under assumption that both RBs miss, Lockett, Booty, you have Slayton, Bateman, Palmer, Pierce, Noah Brown. Okay. So, of all those names mentioned, the highest ranked players that I currently have out of that group would be Bateman 1, Alec Pierce 2, and Noah Brown 3. Abdullah would be 4. McMillan would be 5. That's the way that I go about it. Watson will be 6, and Josh Palmer will be 7. So Bateman, Pearson are the 1, 2. Noah Brown will be number 3 that I'd want to play there, Corey Miller. Thank you. All right, let's see here. What else will you have in the chat? Sammy says, saying thanks, Sam. Appreciate it. Says, happy birthday. I play in only one ESPN Home Friends League. Okay. I'm invested in best ball. Underdog is the, okay, I play on DK and FD, Underdog rules, Okay, sounds good, Tom. Sammy, thank you. Telesco, appreciate it. Magpie11 in the chat says, how does your Patreon work? I mailed you on the site and never got an answer. You mailed me on the site. Interesting. When did you mail me on the site? That is the question, because I'll go open up my Patreon right now. You mailed me on the site. If you can hear this right now, Magpie, send me another message right now. Please and thank you. And if not, if you send me another message and I don't receive it right now on Patreon, then I'll just tell you to just tell me what your name is on Patreon so I can find you and I can message you and figure out why exactly that's not working, because it should. It's worked for everybody else. So I'm more than happy to kind of help troubleshoot it. Justin in the chat says, half PPR flex spot, Swift, Jonnu Smith, Disley, or K. Dotton. I don't even know if Swift is playing. If we're going to play in a half PPR, out of those available options, under the assumption that Swift is active this weekend, then I'd play him. Otherwise, I'm going to lean towards playing Disley there. Or, sorry, K. Dotton. K. Dotton, Disley would be the 1-2. Joseph in the chat says, I need 3 in a full PPR. We have Taylor, we have Montgomery, we have Robinson Jr., and Tracy. The top 3 that you mentioned are the top 3 that I have ranked. I currently have a Montgomery, Robinson, Taylor in that exact order as to those available players. I could understand as to why you would bench Taylor in exchange for Tracy under the assumption that he feasts within the receiving game, considering Tommy DeVito really likes to check the ball down. Last season in weeks 9 through 15 with the Giants, he targeted his running backs nearly 6 times per game, which would theoretically all go to Tracy. So I could understand why you would play him instead of Taylor in a full PPR, but currently don't have it ranked as such. Schnabel says Jake Bates or McLaughlin. As of right now, Schnabel, I have Jake Bates ranked higher this week. Let's see here. Dre Plays in the chat says half PPR. Would you trade Henry for Stevenson plus Terry? I trade, not really. If not, what do you look for in terms of a package? As of right now, I'm not trading Henry unless I'm getting back a elite player. Like if I'm going to get back let's say for example, someone gave me James Conner and Terry McLaurin, I would take that for Derrick Henry, but I don't want Stevenson. That's not what I'm kind of interested in. It's not an offense that I'm interested in kind of investing in. And additionally, I don't like the upcoming potential schedule for them. JH sends in a question via Super Chat. Thank you, JH. Says 6 point. What quarterback to back up Baker for rest of season, Nix or Herbert? Honestly, you can go either way. Let me see here. Where do we have? Okay, so in terms of the fantasy playoff schedule for both of these teams, let's see. The Chargers have Tampa Bay, Denver, and New England, which again, I think Tampa Bay is very much so a promising matchup. New England is also solid. Denver a little bit sketchy. In comparison to Denver's schedule, Indy, Los Angeles Chargers, Cincy. If I was you, I'd rather have Knicks in that scenario. Let's go ahead and let me scroll back up here. I saw that Peyton Whitaker sent in another question. My YouTube's about to crash because I opened up too many tabs. So I'm going to have to refresh that right now. Let me also reopen my Patreon just to see if a message was sent. All right, Margaret, did you not see my message? I mean... I responded to you. Did you not see it? I'm going to just copy paste it. Tell me if you see the response, okay? Because I responded to you 5 hours ago. But there's a copy paste. I just pasted whatever I responded to you initially. If you don't receive that response, then there's something on your end, maybe an ad blocker or something that's preventing it from being seen. But yeah, I mean, I responded to you 5 hours ago. So hopefully you see that. Thank you. All right, let me scroll back up here. We had a question from Peyton Whitaker says, well, back and forth with Warren, Marvin Harrison in the flex, womp womp. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Let's see here. Scrolling down, Donald Smith says, Tyrone Tracy or Malik Neighbors in a full PPR. At this point, I'd rather just have Malik Neighbors there as of right now, especially considering they take on Tampa Bay and that secondary is in shambles still. Patrick510 says, opponent this week has Herbert. Should I trade Tracy / Ladd for Stevenson and Zay in a full point PPR? I don't think you have to. Look, in terms of the future, I'd rather... Honestly, I just keep what you have. I don't have an issue. Now, in terms of the kind of value of both sides, I think they're relatively equal in terms of late or long-term potential for upside for the remainder of the season. So if you want to make the trade, I don't mind it. But if I was you, I'd just keep. I don't think you have to make any sort of switch, especially considering Zay Flowers is an upcoming bye week, which I don't really want to be trading players that have a bye week unless I've already secured a playoff spot. I think I'd probably just keep what you have. Just got it now. Thanks. Okay, sounds good. I'm surprised you didn't get the first response. That's why I just copy pasted it. I'm very much so surprised it didn't hit your inbox there. Anonymous sends in a question, says, do I drop Spears for Roschon Johnson? Yeah, absolutely. If you're going to need someone to play this week, that's the way to go about it, because Spears is not playing. He's in concussion protocol. I've only seen it twice this season in which a player has cleared concussion protocol in less than 5 days. The two players who were able to accomplish that, at least on the offensive side of the ball, was Tyrone Tracy earlier this year, and then the other one I'm trying to remember. Why can't I recall? It's Marvin Harrison. That's the other player. Those are the only two players, rookies, in fact, that were able to clear concussion protocol in less than 5 days. I wouldn't expect Tyjae Spears to do so, considering, again, he has not practiced yet. Alexander Drucker in the chat says, started Chubb in 2 leagues last week and benched him this week. Damn, that's rough, brother. That is rough. Caesar says, in a 12-team full PPR, Geno or Richardson? Allen on a bye, by the way. Yeah, Caesar, Geno. Ando in the chat says Goddard, Hunter Henry, or Mark Andrews. Out of those 3.5 PPR, like I had earlier today in my quarterback and tight end rankings, I currently have Goddard ranked the highest. Barry says, checked your rankings, got the answer. Okay, sounds good, Barry. Appreciate it. All right, let's see here. Raghav says Jake Bates or Seibert. As of right now, I think in my Patreon rankings, I forgot to put Seibert in there because it's like a matter of he wasn't even on the list, and I don't even know if he's going to play. So I'm like, I probably should have put him as a TBD because I've put like Alexander Madison and Zamir White as TBDs for Sunday. I should have probably left Seibert in at that. But going into this weekend, if Seibert's healthy, I'd like to play him. But in your situation, Raghav, I would probably just keep Jake Bates and start him every game rest of the season, considering he does not have an upcoming bye week and they've got a great schedule of games up ahead. And of course, they play indoors. So the only away game upcoming in which it is outdoors is in week 16 against Chicago. At that point, we could theoretically, talk about replacing him. But until then, Jake Bates indoors, controlled environments, should be a fantastic kicker rest of season. Brian Colorado sent in a super. Thank you, Brian. Brian says, I'm currently 9-2 in a Superflex full PPR. My quarterback, Love, Geno, Russ. Running backs are Kyron, Montgomery, Jacobs, Rico, Warren. Wide receivers are Chase, DK, Devontae Smith, Keon, Watson, Denver's defense, Buffalo defense. How would you have this lineup through the fantasy playoff potential by in the first round? Okay. So, look, if I'm preparing for the fantasy playoffs, okay, the primary question is like, all right, is the trade deadline already surpassed? If it already has, look, when we get to the fantasy playoffs, week 16 and 17, because assuming you do secure that first round bye, it's just purely a matter of who's going to start at quarterback that you're going to have to decide. It's Green Bay versus the Saints, which I think is an incredible matchup. And then you have Seattle versus the Vikings, which I don't really like as much. So Jordan Love gets the auto start there if I'm already pre-preparing, right? Then Jacobs has to start in that week. I think probably at that point, Montgomery's going to be an auto start. Kyron will be your flex. Chase and DK are going to be your 1-2 combo. And as for defense, if we're looking at either Denver or Buffalo in that week, Buffalo plays New England, Denver plays the Chargers. I'd play Buffalo's defense, and I'd be happy doing so, especially considering they play at home. Probably will be weather implications in that situation. But yeah, if I'm going to suggest any moves that you would theoretically make for that, running back is solidified in my opinion. Quarterback is pretty solid for weeks 16 and 17. Wide receiver looks pretty solid. We just need to hope that maybe Devontae Smith can play a little bit better to potentially get himself to be a flexible option, but you don't need it considering you got 3 stud running backs at the moment. Peyton Whitaker says, you think Marvin Harrison Jr. would pull through better than Warren? Depends on weather. Under the assumption that the weather is not a complete disaster in terms of a rain game, because playing through the snow obviously seems like it was an easier kind of outing than in comparison to a rain game. Less of a slipping situation. Under the assumption that it's not a rain game, I would assume that he should be able to, especially in a full PPR, at least tie up what Warren was able to accomplish today, especially considering they play against Seattle. Seattle's just been completely decimated by opposing wide receivers as of late. Jamal D. Watkins Sr. sends in a question in the chat, says Bucky Irving or Rashad White, or put Tracy in for one. Honestly, I'd love to play both of them. Yeah, I'd love to play both. Now, the considering you have both, I think it might be, it's like playing Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. When you have both on roster, it's kind of in your best interest to play both to be able to ensure that you don't have any leakage in terms of, oh, you know what, Bucky Irving is the higher ranked player, I'm going to play him. Then all of a sudden we have Rashad White steal touchdowns. It's probably in your best interest to play both of the Tampa Bay backs in this scenario. If it's, as of right now, I do have it ranked Irving, Tracy, Rashad. In the event in which we're in a situation where you have both on roster, I don't mind playing both. Because again, it makes it so where you have the entire backfield locked down and there's no leakage in terms of fantasy value lost. All right. Brian says the trade deadline hasn't passed. So yeah, the only thing that you could theoretically potentially cook up a little bit here, I would assume, is potentially going after like a T. Higgins. If somebody in your league this week wants DK Metcalf, and they're willing to send you T. Higgins because they're in a bye week kind of apocalypse situation, maybe go after Drake London in that scenario. I'm always looking to, if you are secured and you believe you're already going to make the playoffs, you're probably either secured for a top 2 seed in which you're going to get a bye week, or not even that. You know you're going to make the playoffs and you're like, I don't care what seed I get. It might be a good idea to trade some of your lesser wide receiver options for guys like Drake London or Higgins, 2 teams that are desperate and still trying to make the playoffs, but don't have them this week available. So that's kind of the trend that we've been on the last couple of weeks, trying to take advantage of teams that are in desperate situations. Unfortunately, it is a little bit of a cheeky move, but hey, we got to take advantage of where we can. Chiefs or Texans defense this week? I have the Texans ranked higher. Let's see here. I'm Gucci Upolo sends in a question, says PPR Pollard with no Spears or Quentin Johnston. Let me see where I have them ranked in terms of PPR. My computer might freeze up YouTube here, but hopefully we can get through it really quickly so it doesn't. Pollard or Quentin? I have Quentin Johnston ranked higher. Thank you. Jimmy Castillo says, I trade Tyrone Tracy or Bucky Irving for Cortland Sutton or T. Higgins. I got Terry and Debo. My running backs are Tyrone. Oh, that's Kyron. Okay. Kyron Williams and David Montgomery. Understood. If I was in your position, Jimmy, I would trade Tracy personally, I would trade him for Higgins, but I'd also be very comfortable trading him for Cortland Sutton because Cortland's just outright, outplayed Debo Samuel as of late. So being able to confirm that would be great. So yeah, I would take, if I was going to choose one of the two backs to move, I would move Tracy, and I would be looking to get either of those two wide receivers in exchange. I'd be very comfortable with that. BB Walrus says, I have Denver's defense. Should I pick up Arizona or Bills for the rest of season? I would like to pick up Arizona's, especially for the fantasy playoffs. New England in week 15 and Carolina in week 16 is very much so enticing. As for the Buffalo Bills, I'm not very familiar with their upcoming schedule, so let me go ahead and look that up for my own sake. Let's see here. For the fantasy playoffs, if I look at their schedule, they've got Detroit, which I don't love, and then they got New England, New York Jets. So for week 16 and 17, they're great, but for week 15, if you don't have a confirmed first-round bye, I don't think it's picking them up. I'd rather pick up Arizona for the fantasy playoffs there. Brian Colorado says, I have an OP flex spot in the same league, so I can start Geno, Russ, Devontae Smith. Oh, okay, so if you can start two players, Brian, then you're good to go. You just start both those quarterbacks and let them ride. Absolutely. If you have a super flex, then you keep it rolling. Frosty says, oh, fun thing. I heard a Chicago sports radio earlier tonight that they're trying to be confident saying that the Vikings haven't played a quarterback like Caleb Williams this year. LOL. What? Listen, here's the thing about like sports radio. They have to be objectively positive about, well, actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, they don't have to be objectively positive. I have heard some slanderous stuff that, sports radio hosts go off on their own team. So never mind. I don't get it. I just don't get it. That's a good one though. All right, let's see here. Scrolling down, Nick L in the chat says, should I keep the 49ers defense or pick up the Cardinals for rest of season? I'd honestly rather have, look, the upcoming schedule for the 49ers, I don't think it's pretty, especially considering they're playing against actual good teams. The only time that I'd feel comfortable potentially playing the 49ers up ahead is against the Bears. And that's about it. Otherwise, I don't want to play them against the Rams or the Dolphins or the Lions. I think those could all theoretically be potential shootouts. Maybe I'd feel comfortable playing them against the Dolphins, but even then, it's not a great overall week. So yeah, I'd rather have the Arizona for the rest of season conversation in that circumstance. Brian D in the chat says, should I pick up Darnold or Stafford off of the waivers this week? Purdy dealing with sore shoulder. All right, so between the two of those, I think Darnold's in a better position to succeed, considering he's not playing against a ridiculously elite defense. What the Eagles have done as of late has been embarrassing other quarterbacks, and they've done that consistently. I have them both back-to-back ranked, but I do have Darnold one spot ahead of him, mainly because of his rushing potential for upside. Thomas Dabney says, God's Gang and I'm Gucci are some of the most active people. Yeah, they've always been here. They've been here for a while. I know I'm Gucci U Polo's been here for multiple years. God's Gang, recently, yeah, for the entirety of the season, I think he's been here for almost every stream. I'm going to be honest. So yeah, those are the hardcores. I see Donald Smith always in the chat. I see Patrick always in the chat. Brian Colorado's always here. Frosty's always here. Ando's always here. A lot of you are always here. So I appreciate that, guys. Thank you. You can be anywhere else in the world. You decide to be here with me, and I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, we took care of that. Beaver says, hi, Andrew. Would you start Disley or Quentin Johnston in the flex? Between the two of them, I think Quentin Johnston has a little bit more touchdown upside, mainly because he's been a far more kind of actualized touchdown option, scoring, 5 touchdowns in the last 7 games within the offense, considering he has, I would probably lean towards Quentin Johnston in that scenario. And he also has the big playmaking ability. All it takes is one play, and he can, make his entire fantasy week. Let's see here. Goku says, I'm going to need a great start because I started Tillman, Bucky, or Chuba in the flex. I'd rather play Bucky. Thank you. Especially considering Chuba has to take on the Chiefs, which is one of the best run-stopping defenses in the league, in comparison to the Giants, who cannot stop the run. What does that say? Skirk Badam says, please pick two. Must win. Available players are Waddle, Keenan Allen, Worthy. What do you have? Wanda Robinson, Demario Douglas, and IT Man? Who the heck is... Oh, that's Pittman. Okay. I'm about to say, I was like, who the heck is IT Man? That's Pittman. Okay, so of those available options, my two highest ranked probably for this week, especially if it's a full PPR, Shriek. If it's a full PPR, I'm probably going Wanda Robinson alongside of Demario Douglas. If it's a half PPR, I'm probably going Pittman and Waddle. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Goku, where are you at? I thought I answered your question earlier, Goku. Did you have another one? Control Goku. Yeah, play Bucky, man. Play Bucky. You're good to go. Joe in the chat says, who do you pick up from the waivers? I need one wide receiver, two. Okay. Need one. McMillan, Wando Robinson, or Odunze. If it's a half PPR, I'd rather have Odunze. If it's a... You know what? No, scratch that. Regardless of scoring format, I'm picking Odunze over the rest. Thank you. Scooby Taylor says, I need help. In a Dynasty League, should I give up Amon-Ra for Jaden Reed in a 2026 first round, 27 first round? Okay, so here is the thing. Amon-Ra is a very special talent. He is still incredibly young. The only question that you pretty much have to ask is, are you in a rebuild? Are you in a situation where you need those first round picks because you're really not in any position to win a championship up ahead or within the short term, this year, next year? If you're in a complete rebuild and you're just trying to build youth for the future, I would understand making that deal. But in the event in which you're like, hey, listen, I can still compete this year and next year, then I don't know why you would give away Amon-Ra, one of the best, one of the top 3 to 5 wide receivers in the game right now. And again, him and Goff will be there in Detroit, secured with contracts for the next 5 years plus. They're going to be cooking for a while. So again, if you're looking towards the future or potentially building for a 2026, 2027 championship, then sure. Otherwise, I think I keep. Let's see here. Scooby Taylor says, okay, so we took care of that one again. Schnabel says full PPR Johnston or Reed. If the weather in Green Bay is a disaster, we pivot to Quinn Johnston. Otherwise, it's Reed. Let's see. BB Walrus says RB2 Benson, Akers, Roshan, Abdullah. As of right now, considering both of the Las Vegas running backs, Madison and White, have not practiced, Abdullah is the guy. If Abdullah does not end up getting the starting running back position because either at Madison or White are active, then you would pivot to playing Roshan second, Akers third, Benson fourth. Thank you. Let's see here. Patrick 510 says Cup or Neighbors in Downs. If I'm playing one of them, it's Cup for sure. Let's see here. Ando says, in a half PPR, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex, we have Tyreek Hill, we have Puka Nacua, we have Mike Evans, we have Jaden Reed, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, and James Conner, and Drake London. Okay, so of the available, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and 1 flex. It could change by the time we get to Sunday, but I'm pretty confident it won't. The 2 wide receivers that I'm going to suggest you play in this scenario are Tyreek Hill and Mike Evans. The 2 running backs I would suggest that you play in this scenario are going to be Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs, and I would honestly suggest you playing James Conner within your flex. Thank you. Alrighty, let's see here. Goku says, would you roll with Kansas City at Carolina or Philly versus the LA Rams? I'd rather play Kansas City this week. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, is there anybody's question that I did not answer? I think we've pretty much, what does it say? Frosty says fantasy is the worst and the best at the same time. In a rebuild for Dynasty Leagues, going GM for fun. I love it so much. Yeah, I feel you, brother. I feel you. Donald Smith says DK Metcalf, Chuba Hubbard, or Malik Neighbors in a full PPR. Out of those 3 options, Donald, I'm playing Malik Neighbors. Demond Smith, thank you very much, sir. This is in a full PPR. Nick Westbrook, Ikine, or Adam Thielen. Between the 2 of them, I currently have Nick Westbrook, Ikine ranked higher, and that's the direction that if it was my team, I would prefer to play. I think I want to give it a week before I roll out Adam Thielen, considering he's still not at a full participation of practice this week. He's still limited in his overall practice participation, which makes me think that he may not be active this weekend. So prepare for the Nick Westbrook, Ikine play, which I think is relatively solid, especially considering they take on Houston secondary that has not played well as of late. And then it says, would you pick up Tolbert if CeeDee Lamb is out? In the event in which he is out, sure. Tolbert didn't see enough targets last week to make me feel confident about it anyway. So I think I'd still play Nick Westbrook in that scenario, even in the event in which CeeDee Lamb is out. And let me tell you why. If Tolbert's going to have to take on like a Marshawn Lattimore against Washington. That secondary's played relatively well this season in comparison to last. So I wouldn't feel as comfortable rolling out a wide receiver of that caliber against the great secondary coverage. Caesar says, Rams defense, pick up Baltimore. They're available. Would I rather play Baltimore's defense over the Rams defense? No, I'd rather play the Rams defense, honestly. I think that would be the right choice. Crispy says, pick 2.5 PPR. D-Hop, Quentin Johnston, or Slim Reaper. Slim Reaper. Okay, so when you say Slim Reaper, you mean Devontae Smith, right? I'm assuming that's what you mean. If that is the question, if I'm picking two of these potential options, we're going to have to keep Devontae Smith's injury monitored. If he's active and ready to go by Sunday, then Quentin Johnston and him are the answer. Those would be the two preferred. Raghav says, start Love or pick up Tua, Darnold, May, Anthony Richardson, Stafford, DeVito. I would probably, if I was in your position, I'd keep Love on roster, but I'm probably looking to potentially pivot if the weather is a disaster in week 12 for another player in the afternoon window. So specifically who I would pivot to in that circumstance. What are the guys that you have available? Darnold could be it probably. Darnold plays in the morning slate. Never mind. My apologies. Yeah, there's not too much there's nobody in the afternoon slate that you could pivot to. So you just roll with them. Keep it rolling. Just hope for the best. All right. Ron the Don says, who would you start in the last two flex spots between Austin Eckler, Dallas Goedert, Rashad White, Jonnu Smith in a full PPR? In a full PPR, currently, it would be Rashad White and Jonnu Smith that would get the starts. Thank you. Let's see here. Patrick510 says, I don't think you answered my question. Brother, I answered your question like 30 minutes ago, Patrick. You probably got hit with an ad. It's all good. I would play Cup. Oh, that's not even that's a trade question. It says full PPR trade Cup for Neighbors and Downs. No, I don't think I'm doing that unless I'm in desperate need. My apologies. I thought you were asking if you should play Cup, or Neighbors, or Downs. My bad. Yeah, as of right now, I don't make that trade unless I'm in super desperate need for wide receiver, to the extent to where I'm like, hey, I have so many bipocalypse situations. I need to win this week and I need depth, and this, it grants that for me. That would be the only circumstance in which I do that. My apologies, Patrick. I read your question wrong. They call him the Slim Reaper. They call him Skinny Batman from last time I checked. I don't know who else Slim Reaper is. Is that right? Let's see here. Slim Reaper, NFL. Yeah, Devontae Smith. That's the name. All right. Anyway, continuing on. Big Boy Life says, hey, Andrew, who would you start at the tight end, Laporta or Disley? I'd rather start Disley as of right now. Thank you and appreciate the happy birthday wishes. AH says, Nick Westbrook-Ikine or Brandon Shooks? Who the heck is Brandon Shooks, brother? You mean Brandon Cooks, right? I'd rather have Nick Westbrook-Ikine, to be totally honest. Robert says, hi, Andrew. Of the three, start two in a full PPR. Rashad White, Tracy, Pacheco. Okay, so there's multiple ways that we can go about this. As it currently stands in a full PPR scoring format, right now, I do have it ranked as Pacheco 1, Tracy 2, Rashad White 3, under the assumption that Pacheco is playing. But in the event in which he doesn't, the answer's pretty much set up for you. Otherwise, I do believe it is a Tracy Pacheco week. Thank you. Brian Robinson or Bucky this week? It's Brian Robinson. I'm doubling down on Brian Robinson. Like, I put in a couple entries via Underdog with Brian Robinson. That's how doubled down I am. Let's see here. Brian D says Dobbins or Devontae Smith in the flex. If he's good to go this weekend. Even if he's good to go this weekend, he just hasn't gotten enough opportunity. I think I'd rather just play Dobbins in that scenario. Donald Smith says Brandon Shooks for now. Yeah, good one. Shrey says traded Chubb and Mooney for Jordan Mason. Trade rumors off season. Yoshivas and a 2025 third. Thoughts? There's a lot of implications there. I don't mind the trade. I'll just put it that way. I don't mind the trade. Because you never know. Jordan Mason may be the future running back of the 49ers. You never know. Or what Kyle Shanahan does every season is that he drafts a running back, a rookie running back. So whoever ends up being the future running back of the organization, we'll have to wait and see. Jose sends in a question. Thank you, Jose. Says PPR, if no Pacheco, pick 4. Between Hunt, Stevenson, Jacobs, JT, and Connor. Okay. So under the assumption there's no Pacheco, I would start Connor 1, Jacobs 2. I'd probably honestly go Hunt 3, and JT4. That's the way that I'd go about it. Brian Colorado says PPR, I have DK Metcalf side. Quinn Johnston says I have DK side. Question 1, DK and Warren for Nico or Evans? Yes, either one. I would very happily take Nico Collins in that trade. So happily. It's not even a question in my mind. I would instantly take Nico Collins there. Question 2, is Keon Coleman droppable? I would say potentially yes, but it depends on what kind of wide receiver depth you have. If you don't expect him to ever start for you for the remainder of the season, if you've got 3 solidified wide receivers ahead of him, I don't think you need to have him on roster per se. Then for your third question, pick one for week 16. Geno, Russ, Devontae Smith, Rico, Warren, or Watson. Again, between now and then, I think this is a little bit of an early premature question. I think what I answer right now and what I answer then is probably going to most likely change. But if I was to select right now, we would probably be playing. I'd probably play Geno there in that week. Thank you. All right, moving on to a question that comes in from IM. Thank you very much. IM says, trade Downs for Stevenson? If you need a running back, sure, why not? Again, he's gotten, 20 touches in 3 of the last 4 games. So, yeah, why not? PPR, and I need a running back for this week. I have DK, I have Nico, I have Jennings. Yeah, that's a cool trade. I don't have an issue with it at all. Good to go there. Appreciate it. All right, guys. I think that's where I'm going to call it. Kind of an earlier stream. Didn't even get to the hour mark, but I think that's a pretty solid space to kind of end it off. I'll be back tomorrow with some hidden gems, hopefully. We'll see. If hidden gems is possible, then I'll be back tomorrow with hidden gems. Otherwise, I will be back tomorrow night live streaming here on the channel once again. I appreciate y'all coming through, supporting. Magpie, if you're somewhere in the chat or if you're listening, I'm going to answer your question on Patreon in just a moment. Again, guys, if you want, potential rankings every Thursday and Sunday morning, and of course, unlimited questions answered, Patreon is the way to do so. Link down in the description. Otherwise, you can go ahead and check out Underdog and you'll get my rankings every Sunday morning for the remainder of the season. I appreciate y'all coming through, supporting the channel as per usual. Outside of that, I'm going to go ahead and cue the music and I'm going to end off the night a little bit earlier than normal. But hey, I appreciate y'all. Have a great rest of your night and appreciate you. Much love. I'll see you guys. Peace. We're back with another rare ending. Who has a question that I did not answer and is still in the live stream? 2 questions, max. The first 2 that come in, boom, boom, answered, and we're out. This is the Marvel ending of our live stream as I come in, answer a couple more fadeaway questions until I fade away into the darkness of sleep, which I must get. Anybody? Is there anybody out there? Am I just talking to the ether once again? What's your favorite color? Blue. I don't know. That's such a very particular question. I think it depends on how my mood is. So let's put it that way. Sometimes I just see red. I don't know. This is not an... Okay, dude. All right. Look, Onage, you ruined it. Onage, you ruined the vibe, brother. You ruined the vibe. Are we going Lamb over Sutton? No, I'm going Sutton over Lamb. Depends. Depending on what that injury looks like. He keeps getting questionable and then he keeps missing practice. Like, safe approach, under the assumption that there is no Marshawn Lattimore this weekend, I would play Lamb and he's ready to play. If not, if there's Marshawn Lattimore on the field, I'm just pivoting to Sutton. Kendrick says Tyrone Tracy, Ramondre, Aaron Jones, J.K. Dobbins. Out of those available, the order at which I currently have it is Ramondre 1, Tyrone Tracy 2, J.K. Dobbins 3, Aaron Jones 4. Tampa Bay for the playoffs, I'm seeing red 2. Yeah, Tampa Bay is a solid defense for the play. I mean, at least for the next couple weeks here. But yeah, Tampa Bay anything. If we're talking about the Tampa Bay actual team or Tampa Bay fantasy pieces, they're all great. Just listening to the music and Andrew popped up. Listen, every now and then we have a rare ending to the stream. Really debating starting Bo Nix or Kyle. Yeah, listen, I played Bo Nix there. He's been incredible as of late. Pick up Ertz. Yeah, pick up Ertz and potentially play him this week. I have no issue with that at all. All right, y'all. I appreciate Tua or Love. As of right now, if the weather in Green Bay is going to be bad, if the Sunday morning report is like, 100% chance it's going to be a downpour in Green Bay, Wisconsin, I'm playing Tua there. All right, guys. I appreciate y'all. Have a great rest of your night. Peace.